China's squeeze and relax policy has been applied in the Indian-China border. It means China raises the tension and cools down later to have a diplomatic talk with that country. The two Asian chains often have a misunderstanding in their borders, accusing each other on overstepping the line of actual control, or the LAC. Unlike Pakistan's India border, LAC is not very well defined. The India-Pakistan border is totally different from India-Chinese border confrontation. Because in the line of actual control, India and Pakistan confront fearlessly and actively. But with China, India has to deal more carefully because of its economy and little behind Chinese infrastructure developments. China says it's taking measures with India to reduce their issues with India in diplomatic and regional talks. Already, India and China deployed thousands of troops and heavy vehicles to their borders. Also, thousands of soldiers from the two countries have been facing off just as a few hundred meters from each other for a month in Indian-controlled Ladakh region. Meanwhile, the Chinese broadcasters have had footage of People's Liberation Army, or the PLA, exercises in the region with complete planes and trucks full of troops. Clive Williams of the US-Australian National University in Canberra told to an Australian news report, "It may be a case of squeeze and relax policy from China when they push things a bit and then they back off." He also told India is far more interested in keeping hold of the Kashmir and securing its border with Pakistan. According to the former military chief of India, while talking to the BBC, China has up to 10,000 soldiers in a division. They can take immediate position in India-Chinese border. India has to match them, as India has to complete 25% of the required infrastructure to match the Chinese-India border. Mr. Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi of India had talked more than 20 times related to India's peace talk with Chinese borders issues, but nothing substantial have been gained yet. China claims 90,000 square kilometers of territory in India's northeast, which is Arunachal Pradesh, the Indian state. And India says China occupies 38,000 square kilometers of its territory in the Akshan Chin Plateau and the western Himalayas, including a part of the Ladakh region. The main issue was with China. It was in 2017 when Mr. Xi's foreign policy, a multi-billion-dollar initiative called Belt and Road, which India denied to join it, and that didn't go well with China. While India was secretly going to capture the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, which the Belt and Road Initiative passed through India, Pakistan and China. The trade between India and China raised more than $95 billion in 2018, in that half of it was being Chinese exports to India. 60% of India's mobile phone market is ruled by hundreds of Chinese companies. While India is leaning towards Chinese trade and economy, India is the one which will lose many against Chinese aggression. In this situation, India is trying to replace China for its exports and imports with the United States and European nations. So what do you think of India trying to replace China with the United States and European nations, and also Chinese aggression, which was led to India's aggression? And can India resolve the border issue with China even after the 5 rounds of talks between Indian Army and the Chinese government in Ladakh region, which didn't go well?
In New Delhi, Russia, that holds significant part of the resource-rich Arctic region, has offered India's access to the Northern Sea route that connects the Europe with the Pacific Rim, including the additional supplies of the natural gas and the joint development of gas fields to meet New Delhi's growing energy needs. Russian President Vladimir Putin made this announcement here on Friday in India in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi while addressing a business summit. The Prime Minister and I discussed this earlier today. We welcome our Indian partners to join the work in the Arctic as well. This is a very promising long-term and very serious project that looks decades ahead, one with good investments and good return. As the climate continues to change in some places, this is good, and elsewhere perhaps not so good. The northern sea route offers growing opportunities, Putin said in his address. We are building a nuclear-powered fleet, 8 nuclear-powered ships, which will be steadily put into operation. This work is in progress. This will ensure reliable LNG supplies to Indian and the world market. So this could be a very interesting joint work, said Putin. There are concrete references to Indo-Russian partnership in the Arctic region in the joint statement issued after the annual summit on Friday. The two governments also expressed support to companies from both the sides for development of cooperations and exploring opportunities for joint development of oil fields in Russian territory, including on the Arctic Shelf, and projects on the shelf of the Pekora and Okhotsk seas. Putin and Modi also discussed a 2017 joint study on possible gas supply routes from Russia to India, said some source to Economic Times. The Arctic contains a wealth of petroleum and mineral resources. Currently, the region produces about 1/10 of the world's oil and quarter of its natural gases. The Russian Arctic is sourced for about 80% of this oil and virtually all of the natural gases. The most developed sector of the region, the Russian Arctic, also holds the abundant deposit of nickel, copper, coal, gold, uranium, tungsten, and diamonds. Putin assured, our country has been and will be reliable energy suppliers for the Indian economy. He noted the joint projects in the field of supplies of LNG are on the strategic importance. So what do you think of Moscow offers in New Delhi access to oil and gas rich northern sea route, which India cannot say no for it? Even after the US warning on the S-400 purchases, India is going to rely and do business with oil with Russia. US President Donald Trump on Monday slammed India for imposing tremendous high tariff on American products and said that the New Delhi wanted to have a trade deal with us, with the US primarily to keep him happy. Alleged high Indian tariffs for the second time in a few days came during his White House news conference where he announced a new trade deal with the neighboring Mexico and Canada. As he announced the key elements of the US-Mexico and Canada agreement are the NAFTA or the USMCA, Trump listed out at the trade deals that are under negotiations, including with Japan, European Union, China, and India. Trump described India as a tariff king, as he retaliated his allegations that the New Delhi has a high tariff rate on various American products. He alleged that India puts tremendously high tariffs on American products and racked up the issue of the Harley-Davidson motorcycles.
Well, India charges us tremendous tariffs when we send Harley-Davidsons, motorcycles, other things to India. They charge very, very high tariffs. And I've spoken to Prime Minister Modi, and he's going to reduce them very substantially. Nobody ever spoke to these people. He said, nobody ever spoke to me. In other words, we've had leaders here. I'm not, trying to be overly dramatic. We've had presidents of the United States and trade representatives that they never spoke to India. Brazil's another one. That's a beauty. They charge us whatever they want.
Nothing that the tariff on the motorcycle was 100%, the president said it was like a barrier. India has already reduced it substantially, but it is still too high. Trump said, adding that who is going to buy it as it costs so much. He also warned against imposing similar tariff on imports of Indian products. The Trump said that India wanted to have a trade deal with the US and negotiations are being carried out by the US Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer. When US officials asked the Indians why they want to have a trade deal with America, Indian officials told them that they want to keep the US president happy. Trump told to reporters, "India, which is the tariff king, they call us and they said, we want to start negotiations immediately," said Trump. Thereafter, he referred to a conversation that Lighthizer had with Indian officials.
So you send a motorcycle into India, there's a 100% tariff. Now that's so high that it's like a barrier. In other words, who's going to buy it? Costs you so much. Now they've already reduced that substantially, but it's still too high. With Prime Minister Modi is great, and they're going to start doing a lot. They've called us to make a deal. We didn't even call them. They called us to make a deal, which is like shocking to people.
On Saturday, Trump said that India wants to have a trade deal with the US because it does not want him to impose tariff on their products. Trump's remarks came after the days that the US Trade Representative Mark Linscott returned from India, where he had detailed discussions with the senior Indian officials on bilateral trade and possible trade deal between the two countries. So what do you think of India making Trump so happy by having immediate negotiations on trade deals? Also, Trump said that they never had or never will have to buy any Indian products, but they will impose import tariff on Indian products in US. Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WEC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.